Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tori, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about wheels for hedgehogs, what I recommend, what I don't recommend, what's safe, what's not safe, all of that good stuff. Keep in mind, I'm going to primarily be discussing wheels that are readily available in the United States. I'm not aware of all of the names of wheels outside of the US, so it makes it difficult for me to include those in these videos, so I'm not going to, but you can apply the same concept of the designs in all of these wheels that are available here in wheels that are available elsewhere. So first I want to start with wheels that I do recommend, and then I'll move on to wheels that I don't recommend. So the first type of wheel that I recommend is one that I have used for a very long time now, and that is a bucket wheel. Now technically this is a handmade wheel. It's made out of a bucket, literally. They used to have cake cover wheels. I don't know if those are as readily available now because of the cake covers. I've seen some people have them, some people don't. The bucket wheel I have is a Carolina Storm wheel, but if you go on Etsy and type in bucket wheel, or if you just Google bucket wheel, you can find a bunch of sellers for them. I personally really enjoy the Carolina Storm wheels, but there are a ton of different ones. I know in Canada they even have sellers that sell them there. You can also DIY these wheels. There are guides online on how to make them yourself if you prefer doing that. I am not that creative, so I bought mine. They're a little bit on the pricey side, but for me they're worth it. Mine have lasted about 5 years now, and they're entirely silent and really easy to clean. The only negative to a bucket wheel that I've found is that you have to be careful when you wash them. These wheels are on bearings that are like from roller skates essentially, and if you get those wet, they can rust over time, so you have to be careful when you wash your wheel not to soak all of the metal parts inside of it that make it spin, because if it rusts, that'll suck. However, a bonus of that is I have had a bearing go bad and I just replaced it, and the company I buy from actually sends an extra bearing. I don't know if all of them do that, but all of the parts to those wheels are pretty available anywhere, so it works out well. Bucket wheels are also silent. I had my hedgehog sleeping in my bedroom for quite some time, and I never was bothered by the sound of their wheel. You can hear their feet running, essentially. Which is some noise, but that's not really preventable with any wheel because, you know, it's just their little feet tapping on the plastic. Very cute. But yeah, they are truly silent wheels as long as your bearing isn't rusty. If your bearing rusts, it will squeak. Another negative is that you can't buy those in pet stores. Like I said, you can make them yourself or you can buy them online, but you're not gonna find a bucket wheel in a store, which is unfortunate, but I will say that you get what you pay for with bucket wheels. So the next wheel I would recommend is a comfort wheel, and that is available at pet stores. You'll need the 12-inch for a hedgehog, and these are the main pet store wheel that I would recommend for hedgehogs if you are determined to buy from a pet store. There is of course the pro of them being readily available in a store. Also, they're somewhat affordable, especially if you manage to get them while they're on sale, which price match, do you think? You should be able to find them a little bit discounted if that's the wheel you want to go with. I do have a fair few cons with this wheel. They're pretty loud, and by pretty loud, I mean very loud. I'll insert a clip of Trix running on one. And she's not even running full speed because the lights are on, and you know, she's not 100% confident running in the light. But yeah, those wheels are quite loud. I did use one with Draco when I first got him. That's why I have it. and he was in my bedroom, and it was, I was not a fan. Also, my dog is moving. That's why my blanket is moving. Comfort wheels can also be a little bit harder to clean because they do have ridges on them. However, I owned mine for quite some time, and I found as long as I just soaked it in some hot water, it wasn't too difficult. I would put it in the tub or in the sink and fill up enough hot water to fully submerge it. You can pull the stand off so it doesn't rust. And then, like, after a few minutes of soaking it, I would take a scrub brush to it, and it was fairly easy to clean. I did have to soak it though, so. What are you doing? Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit harder to clean, but I don't think that's really a significant difference to me, at least. I found a method that worked really well. I'd assume it would work for most of you guys as well. Now, the comfort wheel is probably the most easily replicated wheel across countries. So if you see a wheel that looks similar, most likely that'll be the one that you can get. You just want to be careful with the sizing. You don't want anything that's too small for a hedgehog's back. The smallest I would go with the wheel diameter wise is a 10.5, which is a bucket wheel. I would not go any smaller than that because hedgehogs aren't that small of animals. The next wheel that I would recommend is also a pet store wheel, and it is a flying saucer. Now, this wheel is heavily debated, particularly between the US and the UK. There is a lot of debate going on there. I'm not going to get into it. Personally, I don't see any issues with using a flying saucer as long as it is the appropriate size. You need 12 inches or larger. 12 inches is available in store, larger is available online, particularly for like chinchillas. There is some debate among owners about whether or not having them run on a saucer is good for their back and hips. Some people suggest that it will bend their spines. I have only ever seen a hedgehog's spine bend on a saucer when the saucer is too small. So do your research before buying a wheel. If you're worried about it, don't get it. This wheel only has like 1.5 pros. One, it's available in like stores. And also it can be more affordable than upright wheels. Now, this wheel can also be difficult to clean. You have to soak it pretty well in order to get everything out of the ridges, because that also has ridges. The main con that has been found with the saucer among hedgehog owners is that they break incredibly easily, particularly the plastic ones. If you're getting like a really big one made for like chinchillas, they're a lot more hardy, but the regular pet store ones, they are incredibly cheaply made and tend to break with full-size hedgehogs, because full-size hedgehogs are much bigger than what those wheels can accommodate usually. I've heard of people literally rebuying those wheels repeatedly in order to keep them, and at that point, if you have to buy the same wheel multiple times because it's cheaper, you end up spending more than if you had just spent like a decent amount of money on a good wheel. So those are the types of wheels that I would recommend for hedgehogs. I named brands obviously, but any wheels that look similar, that are the same size, regardless of where you are, generally speaking, are safe. Now, I'm gonna talk to you guys about some that aren't safe. If my dog would ever stop licking himself, because that would be great. I would really, really appreciate it. Okay, since he won't stop licking himself, he's gonna hang out with me while I finish up this video because it's gross. Oh, what do you have on you? You have food in your eyebrow. So moving on now, we have some wheels that I would not recommend, and right at the top of that list, a lot of you guys will probably already know what I'm gonna say, and that is wire wheels. Wire wheels are incredibly dangerous for hedgehogs. Wire wheels have no place in a hedgehog's cage. They're incredibly dangerous to their feet. Hedgehogs have very soft paw pads. They do not stand up well to mesh wheels or barred wheels or anything like that, not to mention that their feet can get stuck in them, which can cause some serious damage. They're just avoid at all costs. The next wheel that I wouldn't recommend is a silent spinner from the pet store. Now, a lot of people use these wheels. They are not my first choice, which is why they're not on my recommended list. They can be safe though. They're not as dangerous as wire wheels or anything like that. They can be safe. The problem is that a lot of the times they're going to ultimately cause issues. And considering silent spinners aren't cheap wheels at all by any stretch of the imagination, it's not worth it to me to recommend them to you guys. So some of the issues that a silent spinner has, first of all, most of the time they're not silent. Hedgehogs can be quite heavy animals, and finding a truly silent wheel for them when you've got like 500 grams worth of pudgy hedgehog bouncing around on them is a tough feat. So they already have that against them, but also they do have a seam around the edge. This seam connects the white part of the wheel to the front colored part of the wheel. Some people suggest that this is for drainage. Whatever it's for, it's problematic. Hedgehogs get their nails stuck in it. They've ripped off their nails. They've ripped off parts of their toes. There are some pretty gruesome photos of just wheels caked in blood. Not pleasant. Not worth it to me. Not worth the risk, at least. Now, you can avoid this issue by sealing the silent spinner with hot glue carefully, because you can melt the wheel, or animal safe silicone, or sealant of some kind. Like, you can modify the wheel to make it safer, but then you run into the next issue. The reason that wheel needs drainage is because it curves inward. It's like this. Now, hedgehogs poop and pee on their wheels so much. Hedgehogs are literally known for going to the bathroom as they run. It's a natural instinct for them. It's pretty rare to find hedgehogs that don't do it. They exist, but like most hedgehogs will go to the bathroom on their wheel. Now, in a wheel that is curved up like this, if you seal off that little drainage slit, they are continually running in not only their poop, which they do anyway, but their pee. And this is a problem because you can cause things like urine scald because they're sitting in their own urine. Not to mention, your hedgehog is just getting even filthier. So for me, like, all of those things make that wheel very not worth it. Like, they're not cheap, they're not easy to clean, they can be downright dangerous. It's just like not worth it to me. Obviously, you can modify them any way you want to make them safer, but they still have a whole list of cons that would outweigh any possible pro that I can think of. So they're not on my recommended list. Next is any sort of covered wheel, and by this I mean anything like a Wodent wheel, anything that has a covered front. Hedgehogs have incredibly poor eyesight, and it can be really risky to put them in a wheel that has a covered front. They have been known to turn their heads while they're running and hit themselves in the head repeatedly. Hedgehogs have also been known to turn around while they're running, and most of those covered wheels do not have a wide enough width running surface to turn around, especially with them being enclosed. In my opinion, it's not worth it to get a wheel that doesn't really cater to the type of animal that you have. Those wheels do tend to be catered to things like rodents who are smaller. That's why their running space is usually about 3 inches, which is pretty small for a hedgehog. So those are some of the wheels I would recommend and some of the wheels I would not recommend. If you have any of the wheels that I wouldn't recommend or that are dangerous, I'm not shaming you. I think maybe you should go ahead and purchase something else. But hopefully if you're watching this video, you haven't bought a wheel yet, and you will just get some of the ones that are better suited to hedgehogs and to your wallet, because they mean you won't have to re-buy a wheel later. Alright, so thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you all in my next video. Bye!
I'm a lonely, hard feline.
I take what's mine and I leave behind.